Good morning, everyone. Welcome to White Rock United Methodist Church. My name is Phil Dickey. I'm one of the pastors here on staff. It's my joy to welcome you for the Sunday Sit Down. We do this every Sunday as a way to kick off our worship service. It's a chance for really me to just sit down and have a conversation and wear ridiculous sweaters. That's really why I wanted to start the Sunday Sit Down. We're taking an opportunity here before worship starts to have a conversation about Christmas and the Christmas season and all that leads up to the Christmas season. And if you haven't been here for the last couple of weeks, I did talk about one of the traditions that I love now is ridiculous sweaters. And so this one, I think, actually came from The Big Bang Theory, I think. Sheldon wore this on The Big Bang, if I remember right. So I actually think I bought it for my wife. Maybe, I don't remember, but it fits somewhat. It's just a little bit short. Anyway, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do for next week. I'm out of my tacky sweaters now. This is my last one, but we'll figure something out between now and next week. So this week, we have an oldie but a goodie. He's shaking his head. Oldie but a goodie. Nice. Neil Moseley's back.
I am back.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you, Phil.
And in the sanctuary here with us.
That's right.
I'm so glad.
First time in many months.
Right? So it's fun. So this is just a chance to have a little bit of fun and talk about Christmas and the things that we love or don't love so much about the Christmas season and holiday and traditions and stuff. And so I do want to start with, Neil, I do want to hear what the things growing up that you loved about Christmas. We'll start there, and then I want to hear now that you have kids what you love about Christmas, and then I want to hear the things that drive you crazy about Christmas as well.
Okay, all right.
Let's start with the things you loved as a kid.
So the things I loved as a kid, of course, there's the normal anticipation of Christmas morning and running downstairs and seeing all the things that Santa had put out. That was, of course, a very exciting.
So we had this conversation. Did Santa wrap gifts or no? Not wrap gifts.
Santa did not wrap gifts.
Mine either.
So, and based on the size of some of my gifts, because I had an older brother, so we had a lot of, gifts that were for both of us, like the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier that was 7 feet long or whatever. we got that from Santa one Christmas, so that would have been hard to wrap, but yeah, so that normal sort of anticipation of Christmas morning. I loved Christmas Eve at my local United Methodist Church. It was actually right behind our house. There was just a field separating our house from the church. And a whole lot of our neighborhood were members of the church. Mm-hmm. So going for Christmas Eve was really great, and we had a really tight-knit church and neighborhood community.
Did y'all do like late night?
We did late night. We'd get back home, little eggnog, and then we would watch a movie. We would watch the Albert Finney Scrooge musical.
Solid.
I think Albert Finney died this year. It was either this year or last year.
I mean, probably.
It would be my first Christmas
feels
without
like
him.
Everyone died in 2020.
That's true. Sad to say. So yeah, that was another tradition, and we and my family, we still watch Scrooge throughout the Christmas season. My family were big movie families, just in general, so that we had lots of Christmas movies that we watched, but we also were known to, on both Thanksgiving and Christmas, after whatever meal, whether that was a morning meal or whatever, to go to the local cinema and watch a double feature.
Ooh.
So that was a great family tradition, and that is not a tradition that has survived, I think, with my childhood with any of my siblings. Just because we have so much going on, so much.
It's funny. We used to. I think on Christmas Day we'd always go and watch movies as well, because it's always a big release day.
That's right. There's always lots of great stuff that's happening.
What a year this year, huh? Because now right. Warner's committed to.
That's right. All of their stuff going to be on HBO
Max. Yep.
Yeah. You're going to have to get HBO Max if you want to see it.
They're trying to really save the launch of HBO Max. It has kind of been a flop.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were all really great things. We make monkey bread, which a lot of the folks around here probably have had, because I made it for quite a number of church functions here and there.
There's still time this year
around the holidays. That's true. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot. We had, both of my parents came from families that had unique traditions, and so we have a whole lot. Now that I'm married, and I've had to take on some of my wife's traditions, especially the movie thing, a whole lot of that's changed. But
was there conflict? I know this is a great question between you and your wife. Was there
particular conflict?
Was there specific conflict with the merging of traditions?
So, I can. There's always a story. This is whenever we do the premarital counseling class. I always share this story of since Elizabeth and I are both in church work, we always work on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
Not this year. And so the first year that we were dating, at that point when I was single, I would drive up to my sister because she had 3 kids. And I would spend Christmas Eve there, but that would always happen after I was done at church. And I think, I guess we were both on staff at Highland Park Methodist at that point. And so we drove to my sister's in Salina, so 45 minutes to an hour up the toll road. We got there at about 1 a.m. And her parents wanted her to get back home to Houston so that she could arrive before her sisters woke up so that she could get into pajamas and pretend like she had spent the night there, because it was going to be the first Christmas that they had not all been there Christmas morning. Now, I say all this as if her sisters are like 12.
Right.
But her youngest sister was, I think, already a doctor, right? So so this was to me a totally outlandish thing. So we drove all the way to Salina. We saw my sister and my dad ever so briefly before everybody went to sleep. And then I drove her back to Love Field at 4 o'clock in the morning so that she could land in Houston at 6. And so at that point I said, there's no more of this. This is crazy.
At that point you said, this is love and we are getting married.
That's right. We're getting married and this will never happen again. So they had that sort of same anticipation thing. And so that was just a ridiculous commitment to that anticipation. But yeah, so we did that. Her parents are both great, and her sisters too are both. They're all great cooks, great foodie folks, and so the movie thing gives way to more elaborate meals, Christmas and Thanksgiving, which is a pretty good.
It's a good trade-off.
It's a pretty good trade-off.
Yeah.
So that's been nice with our kids.
Yeah, that's what. Now that you have kids, are there traditions that you've pulled in with your kids too?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely get Christmas movies throughout the season. Maybe even a little earlier in the season than is normal and proper. And I'd say one of the most treasured things that in our house is the fact that Elizabeth's grandmother, Mimi, who just turned 95 in September, needle-pointed Elizabeth when she was a child, but then whenever we got married, she needle-pointed a stocking for me as well. She had one for Elizabeth. And then she's needle-pointed one for all of the grandkids, too, and all of the subsequent spouses. And so those are really cherished, and our kids love them, and they take them off of the mantle and walk them all around the house, even though we scold them and tell them to be careful.
Be extremely careful with those.
So, yeah. So, I mean, one thing we're talking about today is when I'm here at the church is the first day of Hanukkah. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about what does it look like to light candles and sort of talk about the pre-Christian Hanukkah tradition and to kind of start the season off. So in a slightly different way. I say start the season. We've already started. So I think we're gonna test something out this year on that.
That's cool.
See what's happening there.
You're making like a shameless plug. On Monday, my friend, Marcy from Jerusalem, she's teaching a class about the connections between Hanukkah and Christmas. So
very nice.
Yeah. Good little crossover there with the winter solstice that I'm learning. She was telling me all about it, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea, right? Like these are things that I feel like I should have learned by now.
You should have known. You've not been around Rebecca enough.
Oh, well, there we go.
Spend a little more Advent planning worship time with Rebecca, and you'll learn all the solstices.
Okay, so what are the things? Because one of the things I love and everybody loves so much about Neil is the skepticism of Neil, right? What are the things that just drive you bonkers about Christmas and the traditions and the holidays and all that kind of stuff?
So I'm a big complainer, aren't I?
I didn't say complainer. I just said you're a good skeptic, and everyone needs a good skeptic.
Yeah. So in thinking about the traditions that really drive me crazy, I've realized it's not so much that the traditions bother me. I'm sure I'll think of some, but it's really that people bother me. And so many. I mean, I'm a very sort of extroverted person in my work, but I'm a very introverted person in my preferred life that isn't my reality normally. And so, like holiday parties, just the endless, and Elizabeth could just jump from one spot to the next spot and just stack 6 things in every afternoon and just be all the more wired at the end of it. Whereas I just get overwhelmed, and the planning of all of it drives me crazy. I will say I don't understand Christmas cards.
That's fair.
It's it is not a thing that my family did growing up. Mm-hmm. And so that is a thing that Elizabeth's family does. And it is certainly a thing that our Dallas folks do, right? Yep. And so we have embraced it. But every year when I am asked to sign 150 cards.
You sign all of them?
Well, I don't now. Okay. So we've embraced.
Did you get a stamp? You have a stamp, don't you?
Well, we have a lot. We have a lot of different stamps. This year, I did the return address because it was $75 extra to print the return address on all the envelopes through Minted or whoever it is we use. And I just said, well, absolutely not. I mean, I can't abide that. So then I had to, of course, because I refused to pay that, I had to write the return address on almost everything.
Seems logical.
So that, and as all of you know, I also hate posed pictures. So the Christmas card and all the other times at Christmas when I'm told to stand somewhere or go change shirts to be in a picture for something, or it's just not my fave. So
my aunt still does the handwritten, and maybe she actually does print them now. For the longest time, she still did the handwritten, I'm going to tell you everything that happened this last year.
Yeah.
And was that the origins of the Christmas newsletter, you think? Or what moved it from that to look at our smiling family happy picture?
I don't know. I will say I have some friends, and they were the wife was from a more rural background, and so they did. When I was being introduced to, we're all going to send Christmas cards and stuff, they did the letter. Yeah. And her dad was a minister, and I kind of wondered if it was sort of here's a way to keep all of our previous congregations and family and all that kind of stuff. Because he was a United Methodist pastor and itinerant and all that kind of stuff. So, maybe that's the origin. Yeah. I just, I'm really glad that Elizabeth doesn't do that.
The whole handwritten thing?
The handwritten thing.
I feel like everyone should send their Christmas cards to Neil, because I'm sure he would really appreciate getting Christmas cards from everyone.
Totally.
I'm sure you can still find his address somewhere available.
Do y'all have a new directory around here? Mitchell, have you done that yet?
I don't think we've done a directory lately.
It's in the works. I would like everybody to suggest that to Mitchell, that there be a new pictorial directory.
You can email Mitchell.
Olin Mills. May still.
We just made a promotion for Minted and Olin Mills in the same Sunday sit down.
We just crossed 1 century to the previous.
I love it. Neil, thanks for coming to join us. It's always good to have you back. I know I still get people asking me about what's Neil up to these days. And so
And you tell him he picked up my kids from school today?
I'm like, he's hopefully dealing with my children
Yeah.
because our kids bounce back and forth between.
Yes, Phil and I are in the same bubble, which is why we're
That's why we're in person together
freely
here.
sharing the same
Yeah.
air.
Yeah. So, y'all, thanks for joining us for Sunday Sit Down. One more. We have one more of these Christmas tradition holidays gathering. So, and then we'll turn another page and another chapter on the Sunday Sit Down. But Neil, seriously, thanks for joining us.
You bet, buddy.
Y'all, thanks for being here with us on this Sunday morning. Take a break. We'll be back for worship in just a couple minutes.